Hello, so as you can see, I have purchased a new bookshelf after my existing bookshelf toppled over at 7 in the morning last Wednesday. It was on its last legs for a while. I sort of knew what was coming, but for whatever reason, just thought that it wouldn't collapse, just thought that I would be able to take all of the books off calmly and my new IKEA shelf would arrive just in time. And that's not actually what ended up happening. So basically, today my mission is to reorganize my bookshelves. I don't have that many books really, considering like I've, followed lots of other bookish creators and they have like walls and walls full of shelves, but I want to organize them, categorize them, put them back on, and make it cute. Okay, so let's just sort of take stock of what we've got going on so far. The fairy lights are broken because when my other bookshelf fell, it somehow snapped the fairy lights, but they still work. I have sort of put everything everywhere. I've made the top shelf kind of a display shelf because I enjoy that, and I have some really nice editions of books, including this Vietnamese Carrie that I'm not going to be able to read because I don't speak this language, but it's just very stunning. I'm going to try and make this top shelf still a bit of a display shelf, but then I've got a bunch of mass market paperbacks, and then I've got my comic books and some non-fiction and fiction all mixed up, but they're all hardcovers, and I have Everyman's Library Classics, and then I have my other hardcovers that are more fantasy, and some that are part of series, and some that I don't have the full series, some that I do have the full series. It's kind of a mess. There's no rhyme or reason to the way that I just put these on the shelves, and what I'm going to do is take everything off, organize everything off the shelves, and then put them back on the shelves and organize them. I don't have a massive shelf, so it's not like a huge home library organization situation. It's just basically like what's going to go on each shelf. I'm unsure whether to do it based on author, do it based on genre, or do it based on the type of book that it is, if it's a hardcover or a paperback or a mass market paperback or a trade paperback. I just don't even know. I kind of want to set out the sections based on what I want my home library to be like, rather than what it already necessarily is like, because as I do this, I'm probably going to realize that I have some books that I don't necessarily want on my shelf, and maybe I can give them away or donate them or gift them to friends or sell them, but I sort of need to do it as I go along. So basically I have no plan, and we're just going to do it as we go along. Okay, so let's just go. I have to take this chair out because there's literally not enough space in the room, so the chair is leaving. Goodbye, chair. Whew. Okay, I literally just emptied 2 shelves and I'm already feeling absolutely drained, so I'm taking a break to eat my burnt toasty. I burnt it, but it tastes kind of good. I was going to scrape the burnt bits off, but they taste kind of yummy. I honestly don't have a lot of stamina. I do one thing and I'm like, oh my God. But that felt like a workout. I'm going to get back to it though. Supernatural break. Okay, I have eaten my cheese toasty and I have cleared 2 of the shelves, and now I'm going to clear the top few shelves, and then let's just keep it pushing. Okay, I'm doing well. It's going well. I'm also losing daylight, so I feel like I need to kind of get a little bit snappier with this. Obviously, Very important that I put my bubbles somewhere safe, naturally, as well as my rock that I got from my friend Ellis from Iceland, and this turtle that I got from the Natural History Museum. These are my very, very prized possessions. Indeed. Okay, final stretch. This is actually just the sort of like crap section where there's just a bunch of nonsense. So this is my switch, which should go over there. The Artist's Way, this isn't crap. I should probably actually tap into this. This is my friend Paloma's book. She signed it. It's very cool. This, I'm probably going to take this off my bookshelf because it takes up a lot of space, but I got it from Quinn when they sent me some AirPods for the release of their collaboration of a Quinn original called The Queen's Guard with Andrew Scott, and I loved that because I got free AirPods. This is stuff that's definitely not organized, but a lot of these are books that I'm in the middle of reading. Like I said, there's absolutely no rhyme or reason to the way that any of this is organized, and I seriously need to figure it out. But that's why we're here. We're here to figure it out. Okay, let me see if I can step into this section here. I'm at the phase in the process where I basically just need to sit and think for a long, long time about how I want to organize my shelves and what I want the sections to be. So I'm going to sort of just like do a kind of inventory and think about what sections make sense. But as it stands, I kind of think I'm just going to do like sci-fi, literary fiction, Black literature, translated literature, and like hardcover like collections. But like I said, it will all begin to hopefully make a bit more sense once I get started. At the moment, I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. There's also books on the desk over there that like aren't even involved in this, but the bookshelf is empty, so that's good. Let's do this. I'm like, I've got my pen, I've got my post-it note. I'm going to write out what I think are the main genres, and then I'm going to start organizing them into stacks. So that is the plan of action for now. Ugh. I also just added adult fiction / literary fiction, miscellaneous fiction, series, and romances, and also queer. But I'm like, romance and queer might come together. A lot of the fantasies that I have are queer, and a lot of the fantasies that I have are Black fantasies. So I'm still trying to figure out what to do when the genres overlap, but I'm very much figuring it out. It would be crazy if the bookshelf fell on me right now. I would probably die if the bookshelf fell on me right now. I'm feeling pretty tired already, and all I've done is take the books off the shelf. I might have to go take a shower and come back when I'm all refreshed. Ugh. Why did I do this? Why did I start this project on a Sunday late afternoon? Now the sun has gone away. I just want to go to bed. I just want to watch Supernatural. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. It's going to be good. Okay, gang. I have had a shower. I have returned. I'm feeling honestly, mentally very like I need to be done with this immediately, but I've vaguely organized things into piles on the floor. I didn't actually use the post-it notes, but the post-it notes were helpful in just sort of mentally organizing, but it just like this task has become huge for me mentally, and I literally need to move on. So I think what I need to do is just start putting them on. I actually just need to see it visually unfold before my eyes. I want non-fiction to be lower, and then I want hardcovers and like visual sort of like displays of nice covers to be on the top. And then I think these ones, similarly to how I had it before, I want this shelf to be my mass market paperbacks because this is my shortest shelf, and I also like how they look when they're all together. There's already a couple of things that I'm not sure how to do. For example, if I have an author and I have their non-fiction and their fiction, I'm unsure whether to put them together as an author or to still split it across fiction and non-fiction. I have Toni Morrison, I have James Baldwin, and I think I'm just going to put Toni Morrison as a section and James Baldwin as a section. Then I also have like, I kind of want Black literature to be one section, but then there's like literary fiction and fantasy and sci-fi that all come under the Black literature like category. Do they go in the fantasy category or do they go in the Black literature category? First thing I have are these two. These are Marvel comics and I love these. So I think that I want them to be displayed up here somewhere. Not entirely sure where or how, but we're gonna figure this out. Taking a short break to eat a little bit of cheesecake. But this cheesecake is literally just the cheese part of the cheesecake. There's no cake, it's just cheese, cake. What? I just have needed so much rest and sustenance today. What am I gonna do about it? I just need delicious snacks all the time. If I don't have delicious snacks, I might die. Sorry about it. You'd think I'm building a house, like, you'd think I'm putting in extreme manual labor and I'm literally just moving books from here to there. I think what I should do next is Anne Rice. I think we need to do Anne Rice next because I've developed quite the Anne Rice collection. I have Interview with the Vampire. I don't have the Vampire Lestat, which is actually interesting because it's my favorite one. But then I have Queen of the Damned and The Tale of the Body Thief as these cute little mass market paperbacks. This is what I mean when I'm like, if I want to have an Anne Rice collection, but some of them are mass market paperbacks, and I want to have a mass market paperback section, should the Anne Rice mass markets go in the mass market section or in the Anne Rice section? These are the decisions that are like making my brain hurt. And for some reason, Interview with the Vampire, this is their 50th anniversary edition. It's so beautiful, but it's like smaller in size than, this is Servant of the Bones, and this is Interview with the Vampire. And see, like, they're not the same size, which is actually very irritating. This is my dad's band that he was in, so it deserves pride of place. The only issue with it being pride of place is that it takes up a lot of book space, but it does need to have its moment, so it is gonna live there. So these are my mass market paperbacks. I've got my Song of Ice and Fire, my Neil Gaiman, questionable, and then Dracula. Then my classics, which are mass markets, which is Ernest Hemingway, Sun Also Rises, Great Gatsby, and The Beautiful and Damned. Then my two plays, which I need a bigger play collection, but so far I only have Streetcar Named Desire and A Raisin in the Sun. Then it starts to bleed into my translated fiction. So The Three Musketeers, The Count of Monte Cristo, The Iliad, Candle. That section here is like all translated fiction. So now we're moving on to this section over here. We'll have to sort of figure it out as we go along. I think I want this to be my Black fantasy section, which is gonna be difficult because I have a lot of Black fantasy and Black literature. Like, whatever happened to uniform sizing? Because, like, for example, this, it's like tiny. It's fine. I'm gonna be brave about it. This. I need to finish this series. Pet by Akweke Mezi. I want to put it with they're different sizes. Okay, so we've done the first three shelves. Next is going to be Black literary fiction and queer literary fiction. And then I've just noticed here that I have some like classics written by white men. And I also have a couple of fantasy things that haven't quite gone anywhere. So I'm unsure where to put fantasy if I already have a sort of black fantasy section. So I need to think about whether to just start a fantasy section and then have it bleed into my other section, which is going to be black literature, or if I should have my fantasy section that's not the black fantasy section be a separate section at the end. Basically, I have a lot to still figure out, but what I do know is that I have all of this. This is queer, black lit, overspill from black lit. So I think my next shelf, in fitting in with my black fantasy shelf, the next shelf should be black fantasy and queer literature, because that just makes sense to me. And then the last two shelves can be overspill, fantasy, literary fiction, and nonfiction. Yeah! I figured it out, y'all. These are my two non-fiction Toni Morrison titles, Playing in the Dark and The Source of Self-Regard. And then these are the two fiction titles that I have. Okay, now I'm on my Baldwin section. I'm kind of proud of my Baldwin collection. I have Go Tell It on the Mountain, Giovanni's Room, and If Beale Street Could Talk box set from Vintage with portrait by Delaney Haynes on the front, which is very gorgeous. I have Everybody's Protest Novel, which is a selection of essays, The Fire Next Time, The Devil Finds Work, Go Tell It on the Mountain, and Blues for Mr. Charlie. And I also have another Giovanni's Room, but one of my friends has it. Okay, now mostly all I have is miscellaneous literary fiction, some sci-fi fantasy that's not black or queer, and nonfiction. So I think I'm going to leave all of the nonfiction because that's definitely going on the bottom shelf. I'm a fiction person, hence why my handle on everything is fictionfanxoxo, but I am trying to get more into nonfiction. So these books that I do own are definitely books that I'm prioritizing reading. This one post-it note that says nonfiction. Thanks. Those post-it notes were so helpful. I have a couple of like anthologies, for example. I have Never Whistle at Night and 50 Beasts to Break Your Heart. This is an Indigenous anthology, and this is not an Indigenous anthology, but it is an anthology of sort of like horror adjacent short stories. South Central Noir. This is an anthology of stories from South Central LA, which is where my family is from. The funniest thing is I have this one section that's like totally miscellaneous. And these are the two books in my miscellaneous section. Book Lovers by Emily Henry and Tokyo Aliens. This is my only like straight up romance novel that I have in my whole collection. So that just shows you what type of reader I am. Miscellaneous books written by white people. These are POC miscellaneous. These are white women. This is all like fantasy miscellaneous. So I think I'm going to start with fantasy miscellaneous because these are the chunkiest books. I have Dune. This is the original cover before the movie came out, so it doesn't have that annoying major motion picture sticker on it, which is so important to me. But then I got this one, which is Dune Messiah, and this is different, and they're different sizes, and that is not ideal. Okay, yeah, Dune. So many books that are the same size. Right, these books like sort of sci-fi. If I was to go last. What next? Like the idea of. And here's my dad. It smells like really garlicky. Believe in garlic.
Believe in the power of garlic to solve problems.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Looking good in here.
Do you think? I'm kind of at the end. I'm just doing my bottom shelf, which is a little more miscellaneous. Anyway.
Let me know when the tour is coming.
Okay. Okay, I'm on my final shelf. This shelf that I just did is kind of a bit of a mishmash. Literary fiction that is like POC centered. So The God of Small Things, You Exist Too Much, which is a Palestinian literary fiction. And then You Dreamed of Empires, which is supposed to be really, really good. It was in the Book of the Year review. On the right, I've got my Everyman's Library, my Truman Capote, and then the sort of stuff written by, miscellaneous stuff written by white people. The final shelf is going to be mostly overflow, but it's mostly nonfiction. So I just need to put all of these and just put them there. I'm getting really tired, but I know that I'm basically done, so I just need to like power through this final bit. I have some interesting nonfiction books. I have this book called Gender and Our Brains, which is all about how new neuroscience explodes the myths of the male and female minds. Let's just do this, enough talking, more doing. I wonder, sense? Nope, that doesn't make sense. I really like this book. It's called The Transitive Vampire. It's like an A to Z book of like grammar, but with really fun illustrations and like little poems and gothic vampire style tidbits. This book. Also Howl. This is one of my favorite poems. I feel so happy. It's finally organized. I literally just want to stand here and just like lean on it, look at it and caress it. It took me all day. My back really hurts, but we did it. And I'm so proud of myself. That took a lot of mental energy, a lot of physical energy. I'm going to get into the bed and I'm going to watch Supernatural and I'm going to call it a night. I have to be up at 6 a.m. for work, but I'm truly blessed. Thank you for watching.